and there are a lot of things that I do want to share with you about my experiences there and some other people's experiences there. Although I do know you said that you were going to keep other people anonymous,
Yeah,
uh, just to really paint like the whole picture about what's been going on. Because like what you've said in your video and a lot of what other people have said in videos on the topic, uh, it's correct, but it's not the full story
yeah,
because there's a lot more that goes into it.
yeah. Because from my perspective, it was around like a couple of months between like March through March of 2022 until like July. So that's not even nearly enough to like give a accurate perspective. That was mostly just my experience and when I was there. So
Yeah, even then, I only started like maybe January or February of last year. It's just that I was so active and they needed someone that I became a moderator.
yeah.
But as such, I've been able to see into like the mod chat and all that, where a lot of stuff goes down.
All right. So I guess we'll start with some informal questions like that aren't really related to the video, but more just the moderation process, I guess.
Mm,
So, let's just start with something easy, like not even related to moderation, but like, what would be your favorite section when running Metal Gear Rising?
Like, favorite part of the game?
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, I do really enjoy, of course, the final boss, Armstrong, because it's a very like do you know about like the sky high cancels that you're supposed to do?
yeah. I actually learned that when I was. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I swear my first time seeing it was when I was watching the uh and just seeing him do it, it was so fluid and it was so fast. And I'm like, how the hell are you doing this? And I thought it was so cool.
Yeah,
And then I finally started doing it for myself, and I got good at it, and now it's like ingrained in my muscle memory. So anytime I try to play MGR casually, I just end up doing it on like normal enemies.
yeah. That's like because when I was doing that, that was like the most technically advanced part of the. It's like other than like the polearm glitch, but that was like one of the more advanced skills that makes you just realize this is like really hard, but it's very satisfying to pull off.
Yeah, it really is. And there's like, of course, other things that go into the Armstrong fight. Like, even with like the second phase where he disarms you and you're just fighting him barehanded, there's like weirdly like a couple different things that go into that. Like, of course, because the way it goes is like in easy through hard, it's just you get hit
Yeah.
and then it goes into the QTEs.
And but there's like
But
that one time where sometimes you don't get hit and you can easily like punch out like a bunch of his health just like by mashing that button.
well, yeah, that's what the QTE is.
Yeah.
But the the thing is, like, what you're supposed to do for that, it's really simple. It's just during the Excelsis fight, you're intended to, during its laser phase, take damage to where one more hit would kill you. And when you're in Armstrong phase 2, you take that one hit to immediately go into the QTEs. But the way it works in the game is if you're running very hard or more likely Revengeance, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
You
I
can't
know
get
because
hit, you'll just
yeah.
die. Yeah. And like but the way that you're intended to do it in the game is, like, really weird, cause like, I think in the run, it's that you're supposed to get Armstrong down to 99.2%, I believe,
Yeah, it was like
and then let him hit
1% or
you.
something, and then you can get hit or something.
Yeah, then you can get hit and it works. But, like, the alternative way to do it, which most casual players do if they're playing on Revengeance,
Yeah, they just
is
wait it
just
out.
wait it out. But, like, there's a weird middle ground where if you wait for a certain amount of time before Armstrong does like that scripted attack that puts you into the QTEs, you can get hit and it works, but nobody has done any kind of documentation or testing on that. So no one knows like how long it is. It's just something that I've observed from playing the game for so long.
Yeah, it's just
It's weird.
like there's some things that just like are so that you only inherently know just by playing the game and accidentally you do it. Like when I started R00, where you fight Metal Gear Ray, when you get to his second phase, there is an opportunity where you can do a perfect parry, and it will immediately just damage them, and it will immediately start the next section immediately.
Yeah, yeah, that's the strat for the Revengeance run for R00.
But
Except
there's
everybody
also,
hates
but then
R00.
yeah, I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, that's why they actually recently created a no R00
Yeah, I saw
category,
that one.
because nobody likes it. It's just RNG hell.
I know that there was some people asking around about a glitchless category, but I don't think that there was any. It doesn't seem like there was
That,
really any intent to have one.
that yeah, that never. There's been talks about it every now and then, but like, is nobody really wants to do it. Like, I think like it would be good to have just in case somebody did want to do it, but that's not really that's out of my jurisdiction.
Yeah,
It was only recently that there's actually a category extensions board created, which has a couple of like the weirder runs. There's like a stealth percent run that
yeah.
one
I think there
person's been like
was.
labbing really
Yeah,
hard.
I think there was one category. I think this one's also really old, but it was the one where you get S rank on all of the fights.
Oh, Stormbringer.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're actually talking about that right now. I think some people are trying to get a Stormbringer category
I think it's already on
implemented.
speedrun.com.
Oh, yeah, it looks like it. It must have been added like really recently.
So I guess then, since you said that you started around January, what was the application process like?
Like the application process for submitting a run.
For being a moderator.
Oh, no, I wasn't a moderator around January. That's when I started running the game. Uh,
Oh,
I forget when I was added as technically not a moderator, but a verifier. I am a moderator in the Discord server though. Uh, hold on, I'll see if I could find that.
yeah.
I know it was a couple months after I started running.
Um, so I guess so when there's like so let's say that someone just submits a run and you're asked to verify it. Like, would you have to like also refer with like another moderator since you were just starting out?
No, j just the way it works is that since they made me a verifier, I can just that just means that I have the ability to verify runs on my own,
Okay.
and yeah, so I could just watch the run, make sure it's legit and all that, and verify it, and it's on the board.
All right. So I guess the only last question I have for the uh, moderator questions for that stuff was the because I know that the speedrun.com forums used the Metal Gear Speedrun Discord server, and it was like a small section underneath all the other, right next to like where all the other oddball games were, like Metal Gear Acid and stuff like that. But um,
Yeah.
so was that entire section like affiliated with the speedrun.com forums? And if it was moderating the server voluntary or just part of your role?
Uh, no. Basically, nobody touches like the MGR part of the MGSR server. Like every now and then, like somebody will go in there just to check what's going on, but like that's the MGSR mods jurisdiction.
All
That
right.
has nothing to do with any of the MGR servers things.
All right. All right, so I guess I'll go ahead and get started with some questions related to the video. So this is most of these questions are going to be related towards like the experience before like SGDQ 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like I mentioned before, my experience was very limited, and most of the people I interacted with were just top runners that like Mecharazium or stuff like. I'm not even sure if I said that name
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. No, no, you got it right. It is Mecharazium.
Yeah, when I first saw him, I think I called him Mikazarium, but
Yeah, it's one of those names that you could just like accidentally flip one of the syllables.
but I guess since you've also been like probably like definitely maybe in here a little longer and a lot more into the community, what would probably be your experience like pre 2022 of SGDQ?
Like with the event itself.
More like with people like the Discord server and the forums.
Uh, well, before the whole thing with Mecha went down, there really wasn't any mention of it whatsoever. Like every now and then, somebody would run at a separate event, not related to GDQ or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I know one time I was in I think it was an event set up by MGSR themselves.
Yeah, I remember that one. They were doing like they were trying to, I think it was for like an anniversary event for
Yeah,
Metal Gear Solid.
it was like the relay race thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where I ended up just barely beating the person who was going against me. But yeah, other than that, like every now and then it would be a smaller event, but prior to Mecha actually going into GDQ, there was pretty much no talk of it whatsoever.
Right. I did see in like one of your comments you mentioned that there was evidence of moderators like having not exactly validating runs.
Doing their job.
Yeah. Would you happen to be able to tell how that was discovered and maybe how long this has been happening, or is it just more like an ongoing investigation?
Uh, yeah, okay, so the thing about like some of the moderators investigating that, that's kind of fallen through, but there's still a lot of evidence that there is. Actually have the document that they've compiled right here. Uh, it's mostly uh there's evidence of him verifying his own runs, which technically isn't against the rules on uh SDC.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but that's only if you are the only verifier for that game. That game, this game, MGR, has active verifiers, so it's not allowed. There's another one of him verifying a 2-hour run within 10 minutes.
Yeah, because usually whenever like because when I did submissions, it usually was like a couple days.
Mm, yeah, of course. And then another of him verifying an hour and 19-minute run in 15 minutes. And the runner apparently did not stream their attempts, so there's no way that he could have been watching it live. And then another one, which doesn't have an image of, this is a high level run from one of the moderators who was also doing this document of verifying a run in 20 minutes. And then there's another one of a different moderator somewhere towards the bottom of this, verifying a very fishy run that, in all honesty, should not have been verified at all.
This was the VR mission for
Yeah, looks to be a VR mission.
yeah VR mission 12.
And I believe there's also another thing of like plain as day admitting that they don't watch the full runs to verify them.
I'm assuming because like on a verification process, it should like how long would it expected time for a verification to take?
Well, I mean, at minimum, it's going to be the length of the run. And runs like if it's a higher level run, then it's going to be somewhere a little bit above 50 minutes.
So like
And
it's
of course,
depending on how complex the run is, and if it's like something as simple as like just a simple like minute long run, then it's just about as long as the submission itself or something like that.
yeah, but as you can see, but the first picture of him verifying a runway too quickly, it says the run is almost 2 hours long.
156, yeah, 10 minutes. There's no way that he could have been able to verify that.
and the next one is an hour and 20 minutes almost.
And then again, that second image, the one with the PR mission, says that it took like 3 days though, because it was submitted on July 6th, but then took until July 9th to get verified.
Yeah, the third one, that one was just very suspicious, and if it were up to me, that would not have flown by because it's just way too suspicious.
Oh yeah, because
And
like yeah, I totally didn't. My game is not tampered in any way. I did not think about submitting. Why do you put quotation marks around run?
mm, yeah,
It,
like
wait,
that's
it
huge
also
red
looks
flag.
like the submission was on Google Drive.
Yes, that's a Google Drive submission. Like, let me see if
Like I can
this.
understand like a YouTube submission or something like that because when I did my runs, some of them I did record over OBS because sometimes I just don't feel like streaming it because some of my submissions were just pre-records of like the streams.
Yeah, it's very suspicious, and that wouldn't have flown if it was up to me. It's like even then that run is still up, and you can still even looking at it now, it's the video's broken.
Yeah, I can probably take a look at it later.
Yeah, the video's broken. It yeah, it's just I don't know about the state of the video when the run was first submitted, but now like that's not good evidence to show that you actually completed a run.
So I know that a little before like SGDQ was happening, there was some questions about people talking about updating some documentation for like the Metal Gear Rising runs, and I think I do remember one person on the chat or in the general chat of that they were kind of like actually working in the process of trying to update the documentation because like the documentation that from what I saw, and it wasn't even easy to find it anyway. You had to like have been in the Discord server to even find it, let alone like be able to use it. And it was very old. Like it was like PS3 running 30 FPS, like bitrate 480p old. It was just useless to use, especially with like some of the strategies not even really being useful because they're outdated.
Yeah, some of the actual strategies were kind of old and there wasn't really a comprehensive guide on like what you're supposed to do that was made in a very long time. I'm pretty sure that there was one being made at some point, but I don't know if that went through fully.
Yeah, because again, I do recall someone was in the process of trying to make a video to update that information, but a lot of like it's kind of a lot of the information about even just knowing that some of these strategies exist are just scattered so far and wide that because I only found out about the factory skip just by pure accident because I was like, oh, that's a cool thing that that one runner did, and I was like, how do I do
Yeah.
that? And the only thing that was the only living proof that that was a thing was from that run and some random YouTube video that just showed that it was provable.
Yeah, it's they're very bad about like actually documenting like all the tricks and the runs and all that. Like I don't know if like one of the most recent finds in the actual run. Have you ever heard about bridge skip?
Bridge skip? Never
Yeah,
heard of it.
didn't think so. It's a newer thing, but like after like people like found it out and just knew how to like implement it into their run, never talked about it ever again. And you'll see it in like all of the top level runs, but there's no kind of documentation
Yeah,
whatsoever
because
for
there was
any of
this
that.
one strategy that I was trying to ask about. I mean, there was like several strategies I was trying to ask about, like the sky high loop and things like that. It was because again, of course, I'm not going to know the terminology of like these specific terms because like I'm
Yeah, that
still a new player,
yeah, that goes for any speedrunning community.
but I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I do think
because
that the resources could be a lot better. Because like if you have that compared to like what's in the MGSR server, MGSR has just so much better stuff just for teaching you how to actually run the games.
yeah, because I feel like it shouldn't get to the point where I have to like get a piece of pen and paper and write down everything that happens in like some top runners run and go, oh, how did I do that, or how is that possible?
Yeah,
Because that's
it's
kind of what
just
I did when I was trying to figure it out. Because when I started out, I was doing glitchless runs because I just didn't know how to do the glitches,
mhm.
and eventually I was like, okay, I want to do some of these strategies, and the first one I tried to learn was the pole arm, and the pole arm glitch, it's not the hardest one to do. It's simple, but it's also got some level of technical skill that you still need to
Yeah,
at least practice it, where if you have to time it perfectly to get like the most optimal jump, otherwise you're just not going to get,
yeah,
because in some cases it will work, but in others it's not going to unless you have worked on it.
yeah. It's just like polearm jumps. Like it's very easy to like get the gist of it, and you'll develop the timing after a while. But you really need to practice the timing for some of the harder skips, like the RO7 base jump, or especially like factory skip.
Hmm.
Or if you want to do like the advanced version of beach skip too, that requires basically a factory skip again. And
Hmm.
so you really just got to know that timing.
I did also mention the Sky High Loop thing as well, because I did mention that the version that I was told was completely different than the one that I saw other people do it with. Because let's see if I can try to remember how I was told it was supposed to be. So the way you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to do forward forward square.
Mhm.
It was forward forward square, and then while you're doing that, you hold the blade mode and then jump to cancel it out, and then you can just do that over and over again. What I was told was to do forward forward square, jump, and then blade mode,
Yeah, that
which
is what
is
you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do jump in blade mode.
yeah, but I think the I think because I was told to do jump and blade mode, but I was doing blade mode and jump.
Yeah, because like the way it works is like because you can't cancel Sky High with blade mode, but you can cancel it with a jump, which makes sense because it's a launcher into the air, so you can jump and do all your aerial hits.
Yeah,
But so
it's
you
just
can
that I
cancel it
also
with jump.
found that jumping first and then doing blade mode was a little harder than just doing blade mode then jump because it still does the same thing.
Yeah, I mean I've never tried blade mode then jump, but if it works, then it works. But yeah,
All
it's
right.
just because the jump can be canceled with blade mode, then you just do it over and over again. The hard part is just getting the rhythm.
Hmm. It's also just making sure that you even like register a hit because if you like cancel it too early, I know
Yeah,
that
if
it
you
doesn't
cancel it
actually
too early, then
get a hit.
you don't give it enough time to hit. Yeah, but I do wish that there was better documentation of all of the
Yeah, because
tricks
when
you
I
can
was trying
run.
to learn Sky High Loop, I had to actually ask in the help section because there was no documentation for how to do it, as far as I
Yeah,
know.
it's, yeah, it's not fun asking for help in the MGR server. I
So,
know there's one thing that I didn't like mention in my comments, but this was like a long running thing last year, and it was over the PC timing
Oh yeah,
because
I know about that. It was the
yeah,
because in R03, if on
yeah,
PCs you can't skip that entire meme speech.
yeah, you can't skip the second monsoon cutscene. And I swear, trying to get anything done on that front was the worst experience ever, as I guess you could say, as a figurehead in that community,
Yeah,
because
because I
all
was
of the
wondering why it took
upper
so
level
long.
people were so stubborn and they never wanted to do anything about it because it was like, well, can't can't we just subtract the timing? Because at first the conversation was, well, can somebody make a mod that makes the cutscene skippable? Which is theoretically possible because you can skip it on console, just not on PC. So there's got to be some way to make it skippable. But, time passed, nobody ever made a mod to skip it. I do think there might be a mod that lets you skip it now, but it was only made somewhat recently after that whole ordeal went down.
Yeah, because I try to look for a mod about that on like anywhere because I was like, yeah, this is kind of goofy.
It sucked because PC, of course, is going to be your fastest version of the game because, your loads are faster and you have more consistent frame rates and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But except it actually wasn't because if you were playing on PC, you took a 1 minute 15-second hit every time you ran it because of that cutscene.
And even for
And
like the loading times, it still doesn't compensate.
yeah, like you were still better than the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, but if you were running on like a Series X, which could play backwards compatible, that was faster because it had the PC loading times and it
Yeah,
could skip the
because the top runner was playing on an Xbox Series X.
yeah. And it took so long for them to finally cave and say you can do what you want. And it wasn't just me, it was me and someone else, another big runner. Um, I'm not saying who it is because I know that she really wants to distance herself from
I
the
think I know
MGR
who it
speedrunning
is.
community. Yeah, you might know who it is, but she really wants to distance herself from it because they were so toxic to her the entire time she was there. It was unreal. Like it just like I would hate having to go through that.
Yeah.
Just having everything you say just be shut down and denied because the higher ups are so stubborn to any kind of change whatsoever that would benefit anyone.
So I think right now is probably a good time to probably talk about the incident itself or things like that. So I
Yeah.
guess to start it off, on the decision to like not ban Mecharazium, was there like any discussion within the moderators to make that decision? And if there wasn't, who do you think would probably have made that decision?
Oh, absolutely. There was discussion on whether or not he should be banned. Me and the other moderator thought that he should be banned because he broke the rules and he basically committed like the cardinal sin of speedrunning. You cheated at the biggest speedrunning event. Like,
And on an incentive
why
run
would you
too,
do
no
that?
less.
Yes, on an incentive run. Like, it always gets me because he played the base game. He ran the base game, and that run was completely legit.
Hmm.
He didn't splice that at all. He did that live. That wasn't recorded. Nothing. But then on the secondary incentive run, which takes 7 minutes, 7 minutes versus 50 something, 52 an hour, 7 minutes of your time, you blew it just so, because why? Like, I see no
Yeah,
reason why he should have done that.
it's just so like no matter I've been trying to find out any reason why he would have done it, and it none of them just make sense.
The only thing I can say is the only theory is just because he felt like it,
Yeah,
because he
the
wanted
only one
to,
I could say is because he thought it was funny.
because he wanted to. Like I have no answer, just nothing.
But yeah, I think it's also kind of important to talk about the speech that he gave because I didn't mention in my video about the speech.
Oh, the speech.
Yeah,
I I
because
I to this day, I don't think I've listened to the full thing, but I know the shit that he said about the sleepless nights or the godless nights and all that.
yeah,
And the only thing I can say about that is because he's fucking insane. I have no answer to that.
yeah, because I was actually looking at I actually because there was re-uploads about of the stream because the original was taken down, but
Uh,
um when I was looking at the video, I kind of had like the most bizarre realization about a weird something interesting that I found out. So the stream was on June 30th, uh, and the articles about the whole incident happening was on around July 5th, which is when I saw that the IGN article came out about it. So I'm not sure when the GDQ officials found out because from what I saw in the Reddit post, when like I forgot the name of the organization
okay.
leader of
So I don't remember when it was exactly, but I know how it happened. It was because actually watched it and he thought that the loading screen was suspicious because it was the loading screen that did it.
the loading
Because
screen.
it was something about on the transition to the comms invite at the very end where it's something about you you get a checkpoint if it's the first time that you're fighting him. If it's a retry, the checkpoint doesn't show up, and it's at the
Yeah, because
center,
I think
the
that was
bottom
also
center.
mentioned on like one of the videos that were posted on the forums, but
Yeah, that's
that
the way he found
because that
out
was one of the
because
things that I heard about it, but it's like, but one of the most bizarre things about it is because when he is on the stream, when I saw like him like getting his results for his world record run, he admitted on stream that he cheated, that it was a pre-recorded video.
did he?
Yeah, he said, "Don't call this a world record run. I would say that this video or something like that." Yeah, he admitted on stream that he cheated, and nobody caught on
Damn.
for like a week.
Damn. I didn't even notice that because like I didn't watch it live. I did not watch it live. I only heard about what happened in the Discord server afterwards.
Because I think the run was at like 9 o'clock, which in Central Standard, because they ran in like Eastern time, I think, and so for us that would be like 10 o'clock. So yeah, I think
Yeah,
most of us would have been like already checked out at that time. But it's so weird that because I feel like that entire like statement from that runner who caught on to what happened, I feel like that was a false rumor. But then
the,
again, it's just hard to tell because it's been like a year
the
ago.
false rumor about actually catching on.
I don't know. It's just
I know it seems like it was so obvious. How did nobody find out until did? Like, but really, it was the checkpoint at Compson
yeah.
because it was there for a second and then it just cut off. Because normally it fades out, but it just cut off halfway through, and that's what
But that
just
also
set
kind
the
of
red flag.
opens a whole different can of worms because he did also mention that this was verified by the moderators.
Okay, so the main argument for why the run was on the board and why it wasn't taken down was because years and years ago, there was in the miscellaneous tab that you have to manually open up on the speedrunning board, there was a single run under Blade Wolf segmented. A single one from 9 years ago. It's still there. And they put it on that board, the segmented one. So they were like, well, you can't say anything about it because it's on the segmented board and it's a segmented run. So, we're okay.
Wait, that was a run from 9 years ago. I thought that was like Something that he.
No, the other run that was on the segmented board was from 9 years ago, and that was the only run on it until the cheated Mecha run. So it just so happened that they had a segmented Blade Wolf board up.
So he was able to say under a technicality that it was a verified run.
Have you ever gone and looked at the description that he put under the run on the board? Because
I have not.
uh, take a look. There's a screenshot.
Embrace the godless nights that fall upon all of you. You have failed to understand the passion I feel. You deserved it.
So
Oh,
he was basically,
that reminds me of his Reddit comment. I think I wish I
yeah,
had a screenshot of it because I think I did, but it
yeah,
was
that like stupidly long acronym or whatever. But like, the point is, he's like, you can tell he feels proud of it. He's like mocking the end, just everyone with the embrace the godless nights that fall upon you. Like, you can tell.
I don't know. It just because it's kind of goofy. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd probably expect that from like someone who plays DMC4, but
yeah. That's another thing. After like all the stuff about him cheating came out, I saw something on Twitter from Waifu, like the big DMC runner, uh
DMC, yeah,
basically saying that he's had prior experience with Mecha, saying that like he's an awful guy and he's glad that he was out of the community. I think I have the screenshot somewhere, but
yeah,
I'm not
yeah. If you
sure.
could get it, that'd be greatly appreciated.
If not, I could just go look on Twitter for it because it was on Twitter.
But one other thing he mentioned on his speech, I guess, was because hold on, I actually was writing this down. Because at the start he admitted to like cheating and saying that it was like a run. He was like, oh, it was a run approved by mods that confirmed to be real or something like that. And when the credits started rolling, he started his speech and he started off by going on some long diatribe of saying that the reason he showed up to GDQ is because he found solutions to problems, and then he starts name dropping a bunch of top runners. Um, but one of the biggest like things he probably wanted to talk about was to not focus on the best results on the leaderboard or things like that, which seemed like because from what he seemed like, it seemed like he treated like speedrunning like it was working out or something where like you have to put in like a bunch of ridiculous amount of effort to get the same results as someone who put in the same amount of time when that's just simply not true. Like some
Yeah.
people can achieve in like a couple of minutes what some people have probably been spending like probably like 5 years trying to learn.
Hmm.
It's just that's just kind of how that works because that's just the nature of collaboration. Because the importance of like collaborating your understandings of like a particular thing is that some people just don't want to go through like every immaculate detail of a video game that came out
Yeah.
like 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, like I can understand that maybe some people just want to do it for fun. Like,
But
and at the
the
end of the day, speedrunning is what you want it to be. It can be competitive or it can be fun. It doesn't have to be rigid like that.
but for the people that like do want to get better, collaboration is a very important thing when you're that's why you got to document your stuff
Yeah, exactly.
because if you document your stuff and collaborate with everyone, when you raise the level playing field up, it creates competition and people will want to
Yeah.
have to go out of their way to do better. And that's what causes even more collaboration and everyone gets higher up and that's what makes a healthy community.
Yeah, but there's just none of that going on.
So I guess that leads us into post incident. So I guess to start off with that one, what was the community like after people heard about the cheated run?
Well, of course there was a lot of back and forth in like the mod chat about should he be banned, should he not be banned. Uh, of course, as you know, it eventually ended up on he should not be banned, which was not my decision. If it were up to me, and honestly, if it were up to a couple of the people there, he would be banned. But of course, it's the people at the very top who don't want to have anything good and don't want to see anything good happen to the community, which is why he got banned from GDQ. He got banned from MGSR temporarily. I don't know if he's back. It might have been
Yeah,
permanent, but I
don't
think
know,
it was
don't
only
care.
temp. Yeah, but he got banned from GDQ. He got banned from MGSR, but he didn't get banned from the MGR speedrunning server. The only place
Wait,
where
MGR speedrunning server wasn't MGSR part of that, or or did they have like a different server?
uh no, like the MGR speedrunning server is different from MGSR. They're two different places.
Oh, yeah, because the one I was on was MGSR.
Yeah, if you're not in like the main server, that you wouldn't have seen a lot going on because apparently it's like I do not know the full context of why there is a different server for MGS or for MGR specifically, but from what I know, the reasons are really petty and stupid, and it mostly stems from. I could be wrong about that though, so take it with a grain of salt, but that's what I know is that I'm pretty sure it's just really stupid. And there's really no reason for there to be a separate server at all, other than that had some differences with MGSR and decided to make a whole new server.
So I did mention in the video about some guy who posted on the forums about a YouTube video by some user that was pretty much more or less brigading the board. Was there like a lot of that happening where someone just goes out of their way to start causing trouble because of like these YouTubers that just made videos that just kind of over summarize the whole issue?
Uh, Not really. There was a couple, of course, but it wasn't too bad. It was definitely not as bad as you would have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple people like that, like as you said, the guy who posted like the Carl Jobs video on the board. But it's just, and even then, you can see like some of the hostility from some of the people there. It's like,
Yeah, even in like
I
my
know that you
comments, there was
mentioned,
some people that I noticed that just kind of chose to be completely apathetic towards the issues, like completely dismissing most of what I said to be just, oh, it was just a bunch of gamers being toxic. What a big surprise, when that wasn't the point of the video.
yeah, it's like I don't really get it. Like, especially is incredibly toxic to newer people, and honestly just seems to be negative about everything and hate his life. Like, go outside, touch some grass, get a job,
Hmm.
just to have some positivity, please. Like, it's like once again going back to like the discussion around getting the minute 15 seconds removed from PC because of the monsoon cutscene. There were some newcomers who like tried to give their 2 cents, who cut completely shut down by because they were new and didn't know anything about the speed run. And I said, well, of course, ultimately the decision should come down to the top runners, but this input is still valuable from these newer people
Hmm.
because what they're saying isn't just garbage that we shouldn't listen to. They have good points. Their opinion is not invalidated just because they're new.
Yeah, that's kind of like a big issue I notice in like most like forums, because it's like that kind of argument that you usually see whenever some people start criticizing like some older games like Man versus Machine on Team Fortress 2, where most people will immediately dismiss your opinion on like the TF2 subreddit if you don't have like a high Tor account.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, because you can't say that the MVM community is toxic. You haven't played it enough. It's like I've seen enough.
yeah, but I do feel like the MGR server is a pretty bad example of it, because like you're really just the whole world is against you if you're a newcomer.
Yeah,
Because
and it's
like,
like I don't think any runner just they can't. This is entirely a voluntary thing, and the last thing someone wants to be doing, especially if like they're like a full adult that has like work a 9 to 5, they don't want to go back. They don't want to go home and then start getting um, roasted the fuck out by like some guy on a power trip. It's just
uh
at that point they're just like, why even bother?
yeah, that other moderator that I was talking about that left because she had such an awful time there and just wants to distance herself. Like, I know that she was one of the like driving forces of change,
Yeah,
to
she
the
because
community?
she actually went because that was the person that went out to me to submit another that led me to submit another run for AGDQ. Because
Yeah,
at that point I was kind of already checked out, but like they still wanted me to keep running.
yeah. Like she was one of the driving forces of change, but eventually just she just had enough because like she was so just ill-treated by all of the moderators and top runners there. Do you know how much shit she got because she wanted to add a category extensions board and run it way better than the main board?
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Because like one of the big things was like the rules. Because the rules on the main board, like you know how on SRDC they have like the little click thing that says show rules.
Mm-hmm.
And the rules on the main board, they're not very good now, but they used to be comically bad. Like there is nothing, and there still is nothing, but there used to be nothing, nothing. Like the only thing under the main category under game rules is don't do the speed glitch. All PC runs that pass the unskippable monsoon cutscene will have their time deducted by 1 minute 15 seconds by the verifier. Please continue to submit your full real time. That's all it says.
Yikes.
And then in the category extensions board, it's like it's got like different sections, bullet points, like everything that you would need.
Yeah, that's about as helpful as the God Hand rules, where it's just emulation is banned. Bin.
Yeah, but yeah, and like even getting don't do the speed glitch in the rules took a lot because like the owner was like, "Well, what's the point of putting it in the rules if nobody's realistically gonna do it?" I'm like, "Well, what if there's that one guy that does do it?"
Like again, like the most
And
ridiculous thing about this is that most other like moderators would have accommodated for that thing. Like the Mario Brothers speedrunners categorized by emulation and real hardware.
uh-huh, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if the I can guarantee you that if most of the people who ran like Super Mario Brothers never documented anything about their stuff, I can guarantee you there would be no summoning salt video about it
yeah,
because
the game
people,
would be like
yeah,
5 years behind. I guarantee you they would not be as close to the task as they are now. They did not have proper documentation of everything.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just like the rules was just one thing. It took so much to get anything done with those. And even the speed glitch was only like one little example. Because as unlikely as the speed glitch was ever to be in a speed run, like it's still something that should be in the rules just to clarify what's what's going on, just what you can do and what you cannot do.
yeah,
Because
because
like the
like
speed
spending an
glitch,
extra couple minutes to just clarify can save you hours of time.
yeah, like literally the speed glitch is so unlikely in a run because what you have to do is, as far as I know, it's only on console. It's not a PC thing, so that already eliminates a ton of players because most players play on PC. But to do it, you have to leave the game running for multiple days. So over time, your game will gradually speed up until it's like twice as fast, and you play the game twice as fast.
Like the only condition where I can even see that even benefiting would probably be a segmented run, and even then they probably wouldn't even allow it.
Of course, that would be like excessive untimed gameplay, which is like one thing that you could just pull out, but there's still like other stuff that you need to like set down. Like just basics, like when to start your timer,
Like yeah,
when
when
to
to start
end
your
your
timer.
timer.
There's not even like really any idea of what's the best outfit or things to get. It's just kind
Yeah.
of because no one ever really discusses that. I I've only figured it out because like I had to look at the
Maybe
statistics
that was
and just
a bad example because they do actually have when to stop and start your timer, but
yeah they do it because they tell you to do it on the go, but but I've also seen a couple runs where they just ignore that.
mhm.
Um, I've seen some submissions where they're clearly in the wrong difficulty. Because
Yeah,
I was started out on hard difficulty, which you can easily tell a game's in the wrong difficulty in like the first couple of seconds because
yeah.
the way you start. Because if you're on normal, you can just like run and slide and you can kill them instantly. But in hard, you have to parry them.
You gotta do the parry. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's just the way that things are run there, it's just it's illogical. Like how it has just permeated like that for that long.
Yeah,
And like it even got to a point where one of the moderators, a different one from the one that I've been talking about, basically got bullied off of the server. There was a lot of hostility between and the other moderator, and when this moderator tried to be like, okay, you're being rude to her for no reason. She never did anything. Why are you being so rude? It just spiraled out of control, and she ended up leaving the next day because she was basically gaslit by the owner of the server into thinking that she was the problem, and it wasn't like was being unnecessarily rude to one of the other moderators for existing, and it was like sad to look at because there wasn't really anything that I could do about it. Because like even though I am a moderator there, there's clearly like a pyramid. Like I was not at the top.
because you couldn't do anything because then they target you too.
Yeah, I was not at the top, especially considering how new I was as a moderator compared to some of these people who had been doing it for years.
Mm.
Yeah, it was sad just not being able to do anything about it because, like, clearly we're in the wrong, and they were just like, I literally like this seems like gaslighting what the owner was doing. It's really disheartening.
I guess I only really have one last question, and it's kind of related towards all this stuff you've pretty much sent over. So, if this stuff can be used to make a report against these people, how would that process kind of go down?
I have no idea because the entire thing about like sending all of this over or at least releasing it was not up to me. I was kind of just along for the ride. Most of it was spearheaded by the other moderator and one of the head moderators of MGSR who saw that something was up and thought that there should be something done about it. But most of what there is just this person can be kind of a bitch sometimes. And some of the real concrete stuff was a lot of the stuff done by and he deletes his messages, as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff against him doesn't exist anymore because he covered his tracks.
So there's pretty much only thing you have is pretty much just a couple of screenshots that, sure, yeah, they'd definitely be pretty bad, but it'd still probably be more or less a slap on the wrist compared to like the pretty much the unforgivable shit that he's doing.
So it's like there was an effort by me and those other people to try and get something done, but it just never went through. Like as I said, the other moderator wanting to distance herself from the game didn't help. She kind of just gave up on it after a while, which like I understand because after being treated so harshly for so long, I can understand just wanting to get away from that. But at the same time, I still want to see something change. But nothing has changed. And that was like really the only hope of it changing, and it's kind of gone now, which is really a major setback. Like one of the head people of MGSR, who should, I guess, at the end of the day, have a higher say because that is the server of the entire Metal Gear series, and this is just an offshoot for one game. Even though, for whatever reason, They separated a long time ago. And really the only hope at this point is to just release the information and see what happens. Because like I've been kind of sitting on this for a while, and I felt that it was finally time to actually say something about it because there's a lot more than what people know is going on. Because the extent of what most people know is, oh, this one guy cheated,
Guy
and
cheated,
then
and then
the people were kind of mean about it. There's a lot more to it. Okay, so is there anything
I'm
else that you need to ask?
I think I'm pretty much out of questions unless you have any questions for me.
I wouldn't say so. I guess like the only sort of question, this one's kind of funny and unrelated, is like I saw that you put transgender in your
Yeah.
video title. Like,
Yeah, a
what
lot
made
of
you do
people have
that?
been
Like,
asking.
especially since you said that you weren't in the main server, because I thought it was really ironic because the server icon is that one Sam screenshot overlaid over the progressive pride flag,
Hmm.
and like for some reason, like a lot of the top runners of this game are trans. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that. I just thought,
Um, because like some people have also asked about that thumbnail. It just kind of happened. I didn't have a particular reason. I just thought it was just kind of funny.
yeah, I didn't know if you knew that or not, but like
Yeah, I
it's
totally
really
know.
ironic that you did do it.
Yeah, I spent like way too much time on that thumbnail because I was trying because I guess to talk about the thumbnail. So when I was working on the, because I like to make my thumbnails drawn by myself, I guess for like practice, because I'm still not that great at drawing and stuff like that. I only just started like about a couple of at least 1 or 2 years ago. But um, what I wanted to do originally was um, the position that Raiden was having was actually from a still frame of Rey from Fist of the North Star, the anime, who is a character that like cuts people in like half and stuff with like his hands and stuff like that. And it
Yeah,
reminded me of Raiden. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But
ironically, I was just playing Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise not too
oh
long
yeah,
ago.
I want to play that game so much, but I don't have a
Okay,
PS4.
so like just got a PS5, and so I'm like super into Yakuza
Yeah,
now,
me too.
and like that is like the one game that I didn't play because I've played like all of them at this point, except I'm like only a little ways into like OG Ishin. But like Lost Paradise was like the only one I didn't play. But then I'm like, wait a minute, I have a PS5 now, I can play that. And like last I ended off, I was on the Ray fight.
Yep, Ray's my favorite character. But yeah, me and my brother are watching like the anime. He also has like a couple of the books, the manga as well.
Uh,
But yeah, it was like that still frame, and that probably by itself took like a 2 weeks or something like that because I thought I was like, oh, I can like finish this on a weekend, but then I put so much detail into the armor, it wasn't even funny, and then I kind of burnt out. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make it a collage. So the original thumbnail was supposed to be like him in the middle. I didn't even detail the legs or anything like that. I just kind of like dropped it because I was like, I'm not working on this anymore. Then put a bunch of random images that like vaguely reminded me of the game where it had like a cat because I knew at the start on the beach you can like slice at the cat and it'll evade the
I'm pretty
blade.
sure there's like a GIF with that where it's like I'm saying Jack is back and it's the fucking cat.
Yeah,
Hold on,
and then
I'll see if it's on Tinder.
it's a now one of them's
Yeah,
a
here it is.
yeah I'm saying yeah I've seen that one,
Mhm.
but one of the other images I picked was legalized nuclear bombs from that one meme with that one because like Metal Gear and stuff like that is usually like a motif to like use the atom bomb and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's also
literally
obscured
the
by the
entire plot of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
yeah. There was a badass skeleton holding a gun. because he's
Uh-huh.
badass, I guess. And at the end, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something,
Well,
and
I,
and
I guess
I
you got it on point.
I needed something to contrast the grays and lack of color, and I thought, what if I add the word transgender in like an orange like that old like Windows that old Microsoft Word text thing that is like from Windows 95 or something like that,
Yeah, well,
and it fit
I,
like a glove.
yeah, I guess you were just accidentally spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess another question for you is like, I guess, what do you think about the reception to your video?
If I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really expect that video to even like, because I did make an original video about it, talking about it when I first found out about the article, and that got like 5,000 views. But um, again, not very. It wasn't very like much. It was kind of like a very sloppily done one because I was obviously very very upset about it because I spent way too much time trying to practice that game for it to just kind of go down the shitter
Yeah,
because it was like every single day I'd just be like, okay, time to do like time to practice the sky high loop or something like that, where I just kind of like try to do 20 consecutive in like one go or something like that for like a couple minutes, and it just kind of got a little out of hand where it's just easily covered several dozens of hours over just a single video game. But then again, it's not really anything new for me because I have like 1,000 hours in Counter Strike. So,
yeah, it happens.
but so because when I originally made that part of the video, it was part of a larger video that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
Where it
I
was
saw that in the description.
Yeah, because the original video was kind of talking about how, like, despite all this kind of bullshit that kind of comes with the game, and despite all its flaws, I still love the shit out of this game because I
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely, me too. Like, I, after playing it for a while, like especially to someone like me who has played it for so long, its flaws become way more apparent. But I still love the game either way.
because like that whole part of the video, I had to go and replay most of that footage just for very specific things I needed to capture, and
Uh-huh.
and when I did that, I don't think it was ever really a dull moment when I did it because it was just so fun to play, so fun to play.
hmm I'm actually making a video about MGR right now,
Yeah.
and it's been a long time coming, but it's still fun to make it.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of trying in the process of trying to make a better version of it, of the original, because I just kind of didn't like it. I think it was also because some people didn't like the very start of it, where I kind of name dropped Danganronpa.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
again,
that
it's
sets
like a
off a
game
lot of
that I
people.
didn't expect to like, but I liked it anyway because it
Mm,
was just like so interesting, even though it kind of dropped the ball at the end.
yeah, I avoid Danganronpa like the plague.
Yeah, it's the community.
I don't know, it just seems weird to me. I say this as a guy who's played like the weirdest visual novels known to man.
Yep, we all know who Salvato is.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I got my start with DDLC, but I'm talking like Kar no Shoujo is like one of my favorite games of all time. I
Uh,
love that game, but there's some weird shit that goes on in there.
I'd assume.
Well,
But again, because it got like it became like the fastest growing video in my thing because it was just kind of more or less a part that just kind of was just going to be a throwaway where I was just going to talk about it and then just kind of never really bring it up again. But then like it kind of popped off and
yeah,
it kind of became like it kind of caused the greatest population in my channel yet.
yeah. I mean, hey, I stumbled upon the video by sheer accident. I don't remember what I was watching that led to it, but it was just on my sidebar. and I saw it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna see what this guy has to say, because like last I heard about people complaining about the MGR speedrunning community was after Mecha cheated.
Yeah, it's just not.
So up,
It just kind of gets exhausting to just complain about everything all the time.
yeah, and then I saw that like, oh, this guy was actually speedrunning the game for a little while. I'll listen to what he has to say. Then, afterwards, I'm like, okay, I'll let this guy know a little bit what more is going on as someone who
Like, yeah,
was a
someone who was
moderator
in the community a lot more.
and just know that it goes a lot deeper than just some of the people being kind of mean and mecha cheating.
All right, so I guess that's pretty much all I got then. So, all right, it
All
was
right, then.
great to talk to you then.
Yeah, it was good.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Peace.
All right, bye.